and then asked by the moderators from the stage. But feel free to get up and fill out one of those index cards at any time you so choose, but they will be collected at intermittent times during the presentation. But there will be a time of question and answer that will be taken from the index cards. With that said, we're going to proceed with our presenters tonight and the topic of discussion tonight. How about we just do this first? Can we have them do some background first?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. We would invite each of you to maybe take 2 minutes and introduce yourself, give a little background. All right. Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Ann Rothfuss, and I run the Louisiana Bucket Brigade. And the Bucket Brigade is dedicated to collaborating with communities adjacent to oil refineries and chemical plants and toxic dumps around the state, and helping communities achieve their goals. It's really important for us to be involved in those really ground level fistfights. That's how I think of them. And then, of course, there are larger issues that then come out that are applicable to communities around the state. So our work primarily is along the Mississippi River, sometimes in Lake Charles, sometimes in North Louisiana. My background is that I'm from Lafayette, and I grew up around a lot of people who made a lot of money from the oil industry. And I always thought it was a great industry, and then eventually I started to hear other things. I was in the Peace Corps in West Africa, which was, really sensitized me to a whole other world. And so that opened me to learning about what Shell was doing in Nigeria. And that was really my entree. It was the work in Nigeria and working with communities there who were impacted by oil production. And so for me, there's a thread from here, there, and I'm really grateful to have had my education, which I consider was in the village where I lived in Togo, was the country, West Africa. And I consider that I'm still in these small towns, learning from the people that I collaborate with and happy to be in this fight. So we've been around for 20 years, and certainly I've got at least 20 years more in me.
My name is Mark with Baylor of New Orleans. I'm in the program Environmental Justice, community organizer. Presently, our main fight right now is the gas plant that's being built in the east. And of course, the court case are kind of putting it on hold for now, so hopefully it'll work out our way. But the main topic tonight is Formosa. I'm still a baby in terms of understanding all the information of Formosa. But today I have with me Mr. John Hua. He's actually the president of Formosa for Victims. And their members include U.S., Canada, Norway, and Australia. So it spans off 8 cities in America. And so speaking of that, he just came back from Taiwan. Taiwan is where the Formosa is where is the companies in Taiwan. So with no further ado, I'll introduce Mr. John.
Good evening. Again, my name is John Hua Nguyen. John is my American name. Hua is my Vietnamese name. So just combine those into one. I was a school teacher for 3 years, then I quit. I got into real estate, and I worked mainly with the Vietnamese community in New Orleans since 1977. I got involved in Formosa since 2017 because Formosa disaster happened to Vietnam back in April 2016. And the name of my group is Justice for Formosa Victims.
Thank you all so much. Okay, our first question is, why are St. James residents organizing against the Formosa plant? I believe that the St. James residents are on their way. It will fade in and out, so. Oh, are y'all here? Okay, well, people should come up and speak for themselves. Great. Come on. Yeah. They're being made to sign in, so they're being held up there.
How many St. James folks do we have that are going to come up on the stage? We need to get you some more chairs. 3. Three? All right, we'll
All
give
right,
you some
great.
chairs. We're happy you're here. Thanks for coming.
While they come up here, I'm just going to give a little bit of information that, as somebody who doesn't live in St. James, the overriding theme that I see happening there is that the 5th district, which is where the Formosa facility is currently planned to be, the population is 87% African American. Throughout the whole parish, it's about 50-50. But in the 5th district, where they want to put Formosa, it's 87% African American. The Port of St. John is a significant player there. That's the largest port in the Western Hemisphere. And they have a map that is used by our Office of Economic Development and used by the port to try to lure polluting facilities in. Y'all come up. And what's interesting about this map is that it shows the areas where industry could site, but it doesn't show any homes, schools, or churches. So it's as if nobody's there. And to me, that's emblematic of the whole situation. It's as if the 5th district simply isn't seen. However, Ms. Levine to change that. So I'm going to pass it over to you.
My name is Sharon Bean. I've been living in the 5th district all my life, and I feel like we are being bombarded with more industry. The industry is not that the industry is not good, but it's bad for our health. It's a nice thing for people to have jobs, but in the process, they're killing the people in St. James. We just buried a friend of mine Saturday. We have had so many people to die from respiratory infection and cancer. Cancer is the leading cause in the 5th district in St. James. We have enough industry. We don't need any more. And we ask you not to come to St. James. We ask you to go somewhere else. This is our home. We love our home. We want to stay there. If you come to St. James, you will pollute us even more. Our water is polluted. We cannot drink the water. Our air is polluted. And I'm asking you, go somewhere else, please. This is our home. We want to stay there. We don't want to move. We ask you to go. Let the other go anyway. But leave St. James alone. You will have a fight on your hands.
Yes, sir.
Trust me, you will have a fight on your hands because God is on our side.
And we stand with you on that fight. And I think, Mr. Wynn, you've been doing a little bit about the history of Formosa before even coming to the United States. Can you share with us a little bit about that, and then we'll continue. Give us a little background with that.
Let me tell you why they chose St. James. The same that they chose Haiti, a small village in Vietnam. You know why? Because they have a less objection. Let me tell you a little story when I was in Taiwan. Remember that Formosa is based in Taiwan. But even Taiwanese do not want Formosa in their area at all. Because when I was in Taiwan in September, the last day we were there for the whole week for conference. The last day we went to a village right next to Formosa company, and the whole village is now called that village. It is been deserted because when Formosa came there 15 years ago, there were 1,700 houses. Now only 400 residents, and most of them died due to cancer. And so they chose Vietnam because back in 2007, when Formosa submitted a proposal to Taiwanese government, it was not accepted. So they moved to Vietnam the next year and got into it. And now the whole 4 cities along the coast in Vietnam, over 275 kilometers, about 150 miles, fish are dead everywhere. And the water is polluted. Then you cannot use the water, you cannot go into the ocean anymore. So guess what? If they move to St. James, the water will be polluted up there and go down here to New Orleans. So it's not only St. James, we are looking at whoever use the water along the Mississippi River. So that is why we are, I'm here, not because of only St. James, but because of the whole region.
Right. We heard from one of the St. James residents. The first question was, why are St. James residents organizing against the Formosa Plant? Did you want to add something to that?
Yes, I've been living, my name is Geraldine Nagle. Okay, I live at 6168 Berkeley Street, St. James, Louisiana. Okay, I'm very concerned about this plant because we got too many plants there. I have been in St. James since 1965. I've lived in Burton Lane since 1967. I would stay in and out of the hospital, burning up with fever, but no doctor will tell me what it was from. I had rashes all over me. I figured out cigarettes and had EBC. I'm tired. We don't need any more plants, and I don't know what they're going to do about it, but we're trying to stop them. Number one, I really want to get away from them, but everybody can't move, just jump up and move. They have been, my husband died with 2 types of cancer. I got a great-grandbaby. He's making 6 years old. He has to stay most of the time at St. Jude Hospital. When I first moved there, the older people were my friends, good friends. Mama Toon died with cancer. She never drank, never smoked. The next one was Henrietta. She had cancer. She never drank, never had smoked a cigarette in her life. But still, they got cancer. When they tell me I might get cancer because I'm smoking, well, I'm 75 years old today. My family is getting sick. I tell you what, they got people out there, men cannot make children. They don't know what's wrong. Every time they ask me, when I go in the hospital, tell me what's wrong. Oh, we don't know. Okay, I've been in and out of the hospital for months and months at a time. We got 3 tanks, I think, 3 or 4, behind our house that's leaking crude oil. Okay, but you don't smell it. But all the people in my neighborhood have sinus problems, cancer in their breast. We had a boy this very Saturday. He had cancer. He died. All the older people, but now it's in our area with the younger children now. I got a niece that lives on my street. She has breast cancer. One live on the next street over where the tanks off. She has breast cancer. I got breast cancer. Everybody's getting breast cancer. Well, me, I don't know. I'm tired of being in the hospital. I get pneumonia every year, bronchitis, can't breathe. The last time I went in the hospital was last month, August. I went in there on the 23rd. They thought it was my heart. When they examined me and everything and did all the testing, it came out with pneumonia. I didn't have a cold or nothing. But that's the only thing they could come up with. Okay? Before I went there, when I used to go to the hospital in St. James area, every week, every other month, I was in the hospital. But nobody could tell me. I would tell them. I can't stand the smell of these odors. When it was spraying for sugar cane, I couldn't stand the smell of that. Then I had to sue Shell because we had our hospital. I knew about that my children up here in New Orleans, because this is where I'm from.
Yeah.
But out there is a political parish, and you can't do nothing with it. I went to Department of Health and Hospital. They told, I was telling them about the Earl that they had filled in the river. They told me what nothing they could do. Okay, so when I gave them the names of the parish, when it came to St. James Parish, they told me and my niece May, we can't touch that parish. I asked them why. They said because it's a political parish. They run their own parish, they touch any parish except St. James Parish. So here it is. I don't know what y'all gonna be able to do, but I want out. Thank you very much. But there's too much going on. With being political, you're not thinking about us. You're thinking about those extra dollars you get. They promised to give $15,000 to the parish, but they're not counting our award. And we can't get out no kind of way. They claimed that they were going to put us on open exit to 3127. Then they said the port. We can't even get off on the street to get to the none of those places to get out. Exit. It's time. I'm tired. I've been fighting for the people, all the people on my street. We maybe have 28 families there. Those people cannot get out. They are paralyzed. Half of them in wheelchairs, and some of them are old. One lady got her leg cut off. But I'm going to tell you what my parish president told me when I asked about it. He said, get your own family to come and get you. But if you close that road each way, how family going to get in together? Yeah, last week.
Thank you,
Three
Ms. Jones.
folks, and a train ran over the people got been on the track where we could have gotten out. We can't get out in no kind of way.
Thank you, Ms. Geraldine, for sharing all of that information. Does anyone else want to chime in on the panel about in response to that?
My name is Chastity White. I'm from St. James also. As you see, I'm the younger of the group, but it's time for the youngest folks to get involved too. My grandfather, he owned a business there. They offered to buy everyone out except him. They built tanks along on the side of his store. The people sold the land. I understand. Couldn't do nothing about that. But the point being is, they went to everybody else except him. He was the only black store owner in St. Louis that's on the river. So for me, it's personal. I'm fighting because it's my history. It's my legacy. My grandfather built that for us. So I'm fighting because I love where I stand. It's peaceful. It's quiet. You can raise your children. I can call on anybody, and they come and see about you. Everybody knows everybody. We had a couple of people come canvass with us. They was shocked. Every house we went to, they knew us. If they didn't know who you were, they know who your people is.
Yes.
That's what you call family. That's what you call love.
Yes.
I'm tired. My son, he suffered with asthma from this. I had to go every week to get allergy shots. And I know a couple of other families that live there, young children, that are being affected about this. Something has to change. Something that they put in her spirit, Ms. Lee, and put it in mine. So I'm fighting. I'm fighting for what's mine. I'm fighting for what was given to me, our land, our home. That's my home. Where am I going to go? I'm not going to feel comfortable nowhere else. That's my home. We have enough chemical plants. Build up the community somewhere else, somewhere how, with other outlets, not with chemical plants. I'm tired and I'm fighting. I'm not going down without a fight. And I mean it.
I just like to say, as a blessed assurance, y'all are in the right vicinity. Because we have the same fight. In New Orleans East, that's about the cleanest port down here right now. But working in Chalmette, the rashes, I've done that. I'm big because of steroids and antibiotics. Z-Packs is what they give you. And it blow you up like a linebacker. You never get over it. You heal 2 weeks, the next week is right back. So it's a blessing that y'all are here, and yes, we will fight with you, sister, because we are the salt of this city of New Orleans and Louisiana. Without us, you have nothing. Where can you go? So thank y'all. I really do thank y'all for sharing the pain, because it also tells you, God tells you, when you think you're going through something, stop and listen to the next person, and you'll see you're not going through nothing at all. And this is painful, but we are with y'all. Thank y'all.
So we're gonna, Mr. Wynn, did you have anything else, or from anybody else before we move on to some questions from the audience tonight? Yes, please. Yes.
A really important part of this idea of Formosa is this lie that it is going to create jobs. St. James Lands, I mean, even the newspaper headline has a positive spin, right? St. James Lands, $9.4 billion chemical plant. And then the subheading is Formosa facility expects to employ 1,200 jobs, 1,200 people. There's another article in the paper about man camps. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's essentially temporary it's housing for temporary workers. And so along with this announcement of Formosa, in this same article is a bit of information about how the parish president was fielding calls from companies that run these man camps. Obviously, you would need man camps if you had any plan to hire local. And this is a fundamental lie that they tell. They also told it regarding Bayou Bridge. This is just a picture, a kind of a collage of the license plates of the construction workers who are along the Bayou Bridge pipeline. When we went along the route, we found that 90% of the trucks, 90% of the truck license plates were from out of state. Also with Bayou Bridge, they claimed that it was going to provide jobs. Yeah, it provides jobs, but if you live in Alabama, Tennessee, Utah even, right? Not for people in St. James. And so the environmental piece is important. I think, obviously that's what impacts everybody in the health. And I think we've got to attack very aggressively the lie that underpins this whole proposal. And I'd like to say, too, that their parish president is on our Facebook page, and I saw your daughter was answering him. He's very offended that we're pointing this out. Thanks. But he's claimed that they're working hard to get people job ready. I know. And so why, if that's true, then why are you also announcing these man camps? So I think it's an important part of this campaign.
And the number one, we paying the taxes, and they just sent us out a letter asking us if we over 65 and we could free. They're gonna let you not have to pay taxes. But they also said on that letter, if you sign it and they're paying the tax, you gotta pay them back for more than what it's worth. So that's why I refuse to sign my contract.
It's a small print. Yeah.
They don't take but one because the other one ain't going nowhere.
Thank you for that information that you're giving us today. That's very helpful to figure out how we can better stand with you in solidarity to stand against this injustice that's going on. We know it's all about, we know that when it comes to money, there's a whole lot of lies that get told. So all of you in the audience tonight, if you have questions, please submit them by way of index cards. We have some of those up here. We'll keep on submitting them to the right, to the left of the stage. We're going to ask those right now.
Okay, this question says, what can we effectively do, voting or calling, to stop the plant? Yeah. This sheet right here we have seven councilmen in our parish. We are from the West Bank, where they are trying to put the paint. I'm gonna get you one, baby. Don't worry about it. I got you. But this paper here as the 7 councilmen of our parish in total. On our side, we have 3. On the East Bank, have 4. So some of them have their emails. Most of all the emails are there. The phone numbers are not there. But you can flood their emails. Call the offices. That's what we have been sharing with the people. We also have a petition that's going around. So far, everyone that I have went to, personally, myself, canvassing myself in my own area, personally, just to let them know how I feel about this, and says no. Everyone that we have went to have said no.
No to the plant, right?
That's correct. No to the plant. No to Formosa. You know, it's other rumors that's going around, that they have going around in the plant that they, in our parish, they claim we have tanks around our high school, so they sold the high school. They were about to put the tanks back there. They don't have no tanks now. Well, our new school left. Well, you know, the new school, they moved to Highway 20. I know some of you might not be familiar with our little small area, but Highway 20. But it was along Highway 18. It was in the middle of the parish. It's not in the middle anymore. It's inconvenienced our kids. My child has to get up 20 minutes earlier just to catch the bus. And I stay in the middle. So I can imagine the other folks that live further to where the Sunshine Bridge is. It's bad, y'all. They just run over us like we nothing or nobody. So
Quick follow-up to that question. Are there any council people that are standing in opposition with
from
you?
what I understand, they put a front on, and now we're finding out no.
No, but she'll be able to answer that.
Okay.
The councilman in the 5th district, he didn't even tell the congregation what was going on at his church. My daughter went to church yesterday morning, and she was about to tell the congregation because he wouldn't tell them. When his wife came to the ticket booth Friday night where I worked at the football game, I showed her the petition. She looked at it, she read the petition, and she said, "Do councilmen know about this petition?" I said, "Well, the sister have a copy. They came to the meeting, but his wife still signed the petition." So I think she went home and told him about it.
Yeah.
Then he went to church to be with my daughter, to get up to talk about it, to pretend like, he was the one coming up with it. But he's not with us. He's not with us at all. We have no one to help us. But we are St. James to rise. We rise St. James. We don't help ourselves.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, another thing I need to tell y'all too. The new school that they built, the school board sold that one, the old school, because of the tank that they're gonna put back there. And now they built a new school. After they built the new school, now they didn't tell nobody that new school was built on top of 3 gas lines. Everybody's talking about it. Then they're gonna come back and put more tanks behind that school. So why did you sell the first school? I can tell you why. Money. We don't see nothing. All they do is walk over us. And there's nothing we can say because there's nowhere we can go. It's a political parish. If you go to any lawyer there, you're in trouble. Anyway you do try to fix this up. They tell us we got to go to the parish president. I done already done that man out, so he don't want to talk to me.
I just want to make another comment to what she's saying. Before they even did the high school, we also had another school that was St. James Junior High. Okay. From the 5th district and the 6th district, the kids would go there. So that was considered our middle school, which was from 7th to 8th grade. And then you went into the high school. It started with that first, because they're turning into a math and science academy. And no one knew about it. By the time we found out about it, it was done. So the school itself has from 7th grade to 12th grade. Yes, ma'am. That we didn't know about neither.
And the reason for that, they want to build a grand elevator next to the school, that elementary school. That's why they made it out of academy school. So that they cannot put a grand elevator next to a public school. So those little bitty kids got to go way back Jackson. They got to get up 4:30 in the
what they are doing in St. James is very much they did in Taiwan and in Vietnam. See, because they want to lobby with the officials, and they are deaf to you because they are being blindsided by money. And then when the consequences came out, just like Vietnam, fish died everywhere along the ocean. At that time, the official blamed on the Formosa, but that already happened.
Right.
Why don't we bombard the government with evidence? It's like a death village in Taiwan. See, because Formosa came to St. James or to anywhere else with promises of jobs. But what good is jobs if the people are dying within the 5 to 10 years?
That's right.
And the evidence is there in Taiwan, right next to Formosa, and the latest one is in Vietnam. You see that fish died everywhere along the ocean. At that time, they blamed Formosa, and Formosa came out and paid, in this case, to the Vietnamese, $500 million to over 200 miles along the coast. And guess what? The toxic waste, when it goes into the ocean, it will travel along the water, and it goes endless where the water flows to. So I don't think we have a chance to talk to the council anymore because they are deaf. But we had to provide them with evidences. And Paul, your friend in Taiwan, can give it to you because Paul went to Vietnam and saw it with his own eyes what happens to the Vietnam village where Formosa Plant is. And then he also saw a village in Taiwan next to Formosa Plastic. The whole village is deserted. So with 2 evidences, hopefully the governor, the parish president can be convinced, because now at this time, it is too late for us to lobby the council people because they already bought out at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you all for that information. Any other question in the audience?
Okay, this is 3 questions for Mr. John Juan. Can you explain what disaster that happened in Vietnam?
Back in 2007, when Formosa Plastic came in front of the Taiwan government to apply for a permit to run a steel plant, the second phase, it was not approved by Taiwanese government. So they, instead of pursuing the permit in Taiwan, they came to Vietnam the next year and opened the steel plant in Vietnam. The government there was very happy because of jobs. They promised like $35,000 a year to a worker. That is much more than a doctor can make in Vietnam. So the government was welcoming them, but 5 years later, but 2 years later, no, I took it back. They opened in 2010. In 2016, there was an explosion, and then at that time, the fish died, and then in the last 2 years, nothing has been done. Nothing. So that is why we, the Vietnamese, are in U.S. form a group called Justice for Formosa Victims. We are trying to sue Formosa. But the problem here is Formosa itself is very clever. They set up their corporation in a way that try to evade lawsuit. It's almost impossible to sue them in Taiwan, and it is impossible to sue them in Vietnam. So our job is to find a court that would take it. So when I was in Taiwan, we learned about the structure of Formosa. Yes, they structured the company so well that it is almost impossible to sue them. So guess what? If you sue them in St. James, it would be, the first thing that would happen is too late. We were already sick. Not only St. James, but people down in New Orleans too. The second is you spend money, but there's no guarantee you can sue them in U.S. because of the structure. One of the headquarters is in Cape Island, in British colony.
They don't know what's going on out here.
No.
And they're not trying to find out.
So, and they change the structure of the corporation almost yearly.
Oh.
So they are very clever in trying to evade from lawsuit. So we are looking at a company that not only doesn't care about people's health, life, but only profit. And they buy out almost everyone. They bought out the Vietnamese government, and I'm sure for sure they would buy out on some officers in Taiwan government too, because it has been 3 years we cannot sue them in Taiwan. And guess what? After 3 years, the limitation runs out, and there's no lawsuit.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne. We're going to try to, we've got about 15 questions up here, so we're going to try to get to all of them. So if you can keep your answers as concise as possible, so we, in the hopes that we get to as many as possible. But thank you.
The next one was, how much did Formosa have to pay in fines? The Formosa company.
In Vietnam, they paid only $500,000. $500 million with the VAT. That's it. And they have not even do the restoration of the sea neither. And nothing has been done. So that's why we filed a lawsuit against them.
Yes, the last one.
There are other Formosa plants in Louisiana. What is their level of compliance?
I'm not aware of other Formosa in Louisiana, but there's one in Texas. And a lady named Diana Wilson is suing them too because of the environmental damages.
And there's, oh goodness. See, I'm channeling Formosa. I just had a spill. There's a Formosa facility in Baton Rouge. There's a flyer. Thank y'all. There's a flyer going around that tells you about their emissions. And if you go to the Stop Formosa section on the Bucker Brigade website, there's a big green button. You can just press it and you can read about their history of noncompliance in Baton Rouge. It's significant. I mean, they've been the EPA judges them quarter by quarter, and they've been out of compliance repeatedly, and yet there's no fine, there's no impact, there's no ramification for breaking the law.
Okay, this one says, I have family living in Vacherie, Louisiana, St. James Parish. My oldest brother, Minister Larry Williams, his wife and sons. I alerted his sister about Shingtech several years ago. What other jobs exist there?
No, besides chemical plant jobs. What other jobs exist in St. James of these chemical plants?
Besides chemical plants.
Oh, teaching school. You can teach school. Transportation jobs. It's called business.
And I think too, there's a question of the investment. The state is willing to invest $9.4 billion in this nonsense. You know, I'm sure if they provided grants to people in St. James, they can start all kinds of businesses. That is really who usually employs local people or small businesses.
The other thing that they have.
Why do you think you want a job there when you already?
No, I'm not saying you don't want a job. I know you don't want a job there. I'm saying get rid of that money to Formosa and give it to local.
Other employees that I know of also is working for the farm. There's a lot of sugarcane fields everywhere. So that's funny.
Okay, the next question. Are there any residences or public buildings near the proposed Formosa facility?
Yes. Think about, I would think about a mile and a half. We have people that live there, we have churches that's there. And we're about to build a new church, like about a mile from the new Formosa site.
Okay. do we need to avoid if we don't want to support that kind of industry? What products do we plastic? Okay, and this one is, should we make calls, write letters to Governor Edwards, who supports the plan, Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality?
Yes. Yes.
What's Formosa's track record in Louisiana? Anyone knows on the
That
panel?
was the answer about compliance when we had the spills.
Okay.
Yeah, it's detailed on the website, but they have a history of noncompliance according to the Environmental Protection Agency. But there's never any fines levied or any ramifications.
So here's the next question. What is Governor Edwards' position in this issue?
Governor Edward is for this facility. And he was on the picture with our parish presidents and our state representatives, shaking hands, cutting ribbons. I saw it with my own self. He posted on, one of the state representatives posted on the Instagram page.
And he's actually lied on his radio show. There were hundreds of calls made to his office this summer about the evacuation route in St. James. The community does not even have an evacuation route. And there's no question that he knows about the subject, about the evacuation route. And yet, when he was asked in July about this question on his radio show, he said, well, I talked with St. James Parish officials, certain ones, and they don't raise that. So, he's definitely being underhanded on this one.
LA 18, that's also around the Sunshine Bridge in Donaldsonville as well?
No, it's not in Donaldsonville.
It's close?
It's in St. James.
You can get to it from Highway 18.
Yes, I thought so, because all that merged in together.
Right,
Yeah.
Well, the bridge is closed right
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I heard that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and that should have given them a red flag. Hello, about, evacuation route. Because, like she said, I live in the middle of St. James. And where I said is where the old high school was. And next door to me, I have a chemical plant coming next door to my house. That's why they sold the school. But I'll make this short and sweet. Maybe not even a mile from my house is where it's another road that takes you to 3127, where it has a railroad track. They had an accident there. Train hit that. And guess what? Only way you could have gone was up toward the Sunshine Bridge. You couldn't even access 3127, and you could not go down Highway 18. So that should have been a red flag for them, but they don't worry about that. They not worry about us.
This question says, how can we as individuals and Justice Indiana support you? Do you have like a specific ask for what we can do to support you?
Come to our march on the 3rd of November.
Also, we have the council meeting that tomorrow, which is the 30th, they're planning on to vote on this. So,
On the 3rd, you can also print out the news meeting. If you have, people get one.
Tell us more about that march on the 3rd. What were you meeting? What time?
We're going to meet at 2 o'clock on Highway 18, right next to Mount Calvary Church. Mount Calvary Church is on the flyer.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
sure, I'll come in hand out whoever wants some right now, if that's
Great, yeah, we would
no problem.
appreciate those flyers November 3rd. And then tomorrow, is it?
One of the news media.
Okay, absolutely. So have you been in contact with any media at all to be there? Have y'all heard from any? Okay, so we need to get on that.
Like the last week when they were putting our people out, wouldn't let them come into the court on somebody, too many people. They did that to one of our workers that work with us.
You were locked out of a meeting.
Yes.
We know that well in New Orleans. So yeah. So there's another meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah,
In Compton.
What
Compton,
time?
Louisiana.
The meeting starts at 6.
Six,
But
but we're gonna be
be
there.
start at 5:30.
Yeah.
5:30.
5.
Yeah, we're trying to get
You have the address of that meeting?
Highway 44.
Don't worry, I could Google it for you, baby.
And for people who are on Facebook, there's a Facebook event page that says "Tell the Planning Commission No," and it has all the information there also.
Okay, we have one more question. What are whites and blacks on the East Bank doing?
About this plant?
Nothing.
The people on the east bank don't think, the plant is gonna affect them.
They think it's not gonna affect them on the east side. And some of the people back there think it's not gonna affect them. When that wind start blowing, it's going everywhere. So, but they think, and you know what, I'm glad if these people come in here, they won't be able to fish in that lake. Man, say what they like to do, because my son do it too. But they won't be able to catch them all. People won't even be able to eat the deer to catch them all. So they're gonna become contaminated.
At the council meeting that they referenced, where people were locked out, there were some people from across the river, from the 4th District, is that right, across, who were coming to speak against it because they already get the emissions that are blowing over from the ammonia plant that's there. So there are some people who are speaking up, and then there's a petition, an online petition that we were really focusing on St. James residents, not so much on everybody else, but on St. James residents. And, there are people, I just gave the signatures to Ms. Levine, but there are signatures from all over the parish. I think it's also a question of reaching out beyond the 5th District, too.
Okay, is Rise St. James on Facebook?
Yes,
I'm
it is. I'm on Facebook.
Okay, okay, good, thank you. And one other question, what investigation has been carried out already by the Louisiana Department of Health, Environmental, Epidemiology, and Toxicology, or the CDC?
You mean what kind of investigation they are doing?
Yeah. No, nothing.
Not one single thing.
Nothing.
To tell you the truth, when they had somebody over there when it was raining, they had somebody got killed over there in front of my house, and we found it out from Washington, and we knew nothing. We got intercoms on the post. They just sent us a letter yesterday, day before yesterday, saying that they're gonna give us, you read those, huh? They're gonna give us intercom, but that's just for emergency. We don't hear nothing. I got one niece that was working for the New Star. She won't say anything because she was working there. When they got ready to evacuate those people, they told only their workers to evacuate, not down our street. But then she came back because she got sisters and brothers that was in their shack. She came back and told us. We don't know nothing because they don't tell us nothing. They hide everything from us.
To follow up with the question on what's the address to the courthouse, it's 5800 LA 44, Common, Louisiana.
And again, that meeting is at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening.
Yeah, it's at 6, but we're planning on getting on at 5.
Come early. You want to get
Tell us more about when you were locked out. How many were locked out? What happened?
The last meeting that we had in Bastrop.
Okay.
September 19th or somewhere in that neighborhood.
How many people? What was the capacity of the meeting room?
They said 77 people, but it wasn't full because I was in there.
You were in there while other members of your group
Outside.
were locked out.
Yeah, locked out.
Okay.
Yeah, and what was interesting is that they were letting the Formosa people in, of course, and it's on. We had a Facebook broadcast.
I saw it and I
so
shared it.
It's on the Biker Brigade Facebook page. What they were doing that the lawyer from the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic, whose name is Lisa Jordan, she saw the Formosa lawyers going in, or the Formosa representatives, and so she started to tiptoe behind them, so she could sort of sneak in. And boy, they sniffed her out and they stopped her.
It's the same thing that we've gone through here with Entergy on the power plant. It sounds like the same story.
It is. I have saw y'all story on the news and I see. Yes, I have.
Okay, this card says some of us will be there on Saturday, 2 to 4. What should we do and or say?
Thank you. Just standing up for our parish, and not just for our parish, but when you think about for Louisiana itself, and we live right in front of the Mississippi River, in front of it. Like in my house, you step out my front door, you see the Mississippi River. Highway 18, the Mississippi River. And the river's already polluted. They put all kind of stuff, benzene and everything else in it. So I don't drink the water there also. So just fighting just for that alone. This state was built on that.
Then Saturday, you always come out and we want the people to be there. We want the people all over the world to see what we're going through.
Yes, yes.
If we get the news media there, we already have Ann, I'm going to speak, I'm going to speak, and some other people want to speak from St. James.
So you are doing
The
the rally first.
NAACP will be there also.
So you are doing the rally first. Before you march.
Yes, we're going,
Okay.
yes. Before we march, we have to march. So we
Okay.
in it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wonderful.
we
Okay.
want them to see people in the wheelchairs.
Absolutely.
We want to see how we living over here. And we want to see, we're going to march on the sidewalk. We're not going to march on the highway because of the Sunshine Bridge is out. We can't do the highway, they told us. So we're going to walk on the sidewalk. Can't stop us on the sidewalk. And then we just want the news to get out worldwide.
Absolutely. So that Facebook page is what again?
Rise St. James.
Rise St. James. And so if you all in the audience would just
Go and like it.
go and like that Facebook page, that's a starting point to get on there to have more followers who are on that Facebook page, and then to show up also on Saturday and also on tomorrow as well too. We want to stand in support of you most definitely. Do we have any more questions? Okay, well, no more questions from.
Oh, wait, we have one.
No. We're not, but
I'm sorry, just real quick, and the number that you have, the 88202 number, does that help to alert people about what's going on?
Sure, yes. If you're interested in getting updates about Formosa, just text the word bucket to 88202. So just like you're texting a friend or something, but instead of their phone number, put in 88202 and text the word bucket, and then you can get updates about things that are happening.
88202 for more information
I
about
feel by, excuse me, just let me make this one comment. I'm sorry. I feel by us standing up and showing our government and just our parish president and everybody, our elected, we tired. It's time for other people to get in there and stand up. And if I feel it, if the people stand up and show, if they love, just like they made the comment about how we trashed the schoolyard because of homecoming. But there were our people went out there and they cleaned it, the high school up. They cleaned it up. So you made a big thing for nothing. All you had to do was say, y'all go back and pick your trash up. We was just having a good time. That's all. We haven't seen each other in years. What's wrong with that? You know, they try to block us everywhere they can. But I'm tired. I've been there all my life. I'm almost 40 years old. I've been there all my life. I'm tired. When I'm leaving for my son, I need to leave something for my son, you know, and his kids, and so on and so forth. So this is just in my heart and in my soul. I feel like this is just the beginning. Yes, it is. This is just the beginning. I'm not giving up. This is just the beginning.
I think we all can say tonight that we commend your courage and your strength, and we just don't want you to lose hope. You are brought here for a reason tonight, because you got some caring voices in this room. And I can say, how many of you were absolutely moved and touched and infuriated by what you heard tonight? How many of